I'm Kelsey Ale, nutritional therapist. I'm a paleo chef and baker, and I'm the author of the new cookbook, Paleo Sweets. I am so excited that you're here with me in my kitchen in Santa Monica today. We're actually going to be making an adaptation of a recipe from Paleo Sweets. So the original recipe in Paleo Sweets is vanilla cake with matcha green tea frosting, and we are going to be adapting this to be mini cupcakes today, because what is better than cake? Something adorable like mini cupcakes. I also am really excited. I have a birthday picnic to go to tomorrow, so I'm going to surprise my friends and treat them all to these mini cupcakes, which I think are perfect for a picnic, little bites, and everybody can have a treat. We don't have to worry about slicing up a big cake. So I am dividing the recipe in half. If you want the full recipe, grab your copy of Paleo Sweets cookbook. I'm going to add the link below the video in the comments. So it's a free cookbook, just pay shipping. It usually takes about 7 to 10 business days to arrive in the United States. Hey, thank you so much. So good to see you guys here. So yeah, you can grab your copy. We do ship internationally. All you do is pay shipping and you can get the full recipe. But as you can see, there's a lot going on right here, so we're gonna go ahead and jump right in. I just wanna make sure everybody can hear me clearly, so if you just give me some thumbs up and give me some love. Heart if you can hear me. Just let me know that I'm coming through loud and clear, and then we will jump right in. So again, there's a lot going on here today, and I might move a little bit quickly, but please feel free to rewatch the video afterwards and make these delicious treats for yourself, your loved ones, and your families. Awesome. Okay, it looks like it's working. You can hear me. Yay! Because, I mean, that's all I need. All I need is for you guys to want to make mini cupcakes with me, and I'm there. Boom. Just like that. So we're going to go ahead and jump right in. And over here we have the ingredients for the cupcakes, so this is what we'll be focusing on. This is the frosting. We'll get to that later. So I'm going to start out with this size bowl, which is kind of a medium bowl. And I'm going to go ahead and start by mixing all of my liquid ingredients. So I have, again, dividing the recipe in half. For the full recipe, grab your free copy of Paleo Sweets, just pay shipping. I'm going to pin the link in the comments after I'm done. But I'm going to go through making this half recipe because you actually get a ton of mini cupcakes out of just half the recipe. So we're starting with 5 eggs, and these are 5 large eggs. And you'll see I'm actually going to use a combination of brown eggs and white eggs, and we have a really great article on what the difference is between the brown and the white eggs. But ultimately, at the end of the day, you want to try to get farm fresh eggs if you can, or at least the cage-free and free range are great, because the eggs will contain a lot more nutrients if the chickens are allowed to kind of roam around and eat some bugs here and some grass there. But you see I have like brown eggs and white eggs. As long as they're large, it's not going to make a difference to the recipe. Now I have had some people write in and ask me if they can use something besides eggs, because we're cooking with coconut flour today. Coconut flour requires a lot of moisture, it requires a lot of binder. Unfortunately, there's not a good substitute for all of the eggs, but you can probably throw in a substitute for 1 to 2 eggs depending on what you're looking for and what you need. So we have our 5 eggs. I'm going to go ahead and add 1 tablespoon of vanilla. Boop, boop, boop. And the recipe in the cookbook calls for almond milk. I'm going to use coconut milk today. So just so you guys know, there is a variety out there. If you're sensitive to nuts, like tree nuts, but you can handle coconuts, use this instead. So I have 3 tablespoons of coconut milk that are going in there. I have 1 tablespoon of lemon juice. I'm super excited. I love living in Southern California. We have citrus trees everywhere, so I'm jealous of myself sometimes. We just went and I picked these lemons off my trees, so that's pretty awesome. I'm excited. We're going to get to this lemon in just a second, but that's 1 tablespoon of lemon juice. I have 1/3 of a cup melted coconut oil. So you'll notice I'm measuring this in a liquid measuring cup. When you order Paleo Sweets, I'll send you a cookbook with, I will send you a cookbook. It's a softcover cookbook. It will arrive at your doorstep. I'll also send you an email with tips about how to do really, get the tricks of the trade with paleo baking. One of the tricks and tips I like is to use a liquid measuring cup. It's just a little bit easier to get exact measurements in with your liquids, which makes a big difference when you're baking. Baking is chemistry, so it's great to have these recipes written out for you so you know exactly how much to use, and it's really important to have the right equipment. So I'm going to go ahead and throw in 1/3 of a cup of coconut oil, and I'm going to show you guys another trick that I like to use when I'm baking. So you see I poured the coconut oil, I measured it first. Now I'm going to go in and measure my sweetener. So I'm just going to double check the amounts. This is page 37 in Paleo Sweets, and let's see. we're just going to do a 1/4 cup each of honey and maple syrup. And I'm going to measure the honey and maple syrup into the measuring cup that has coconut oil in it, because the coconut oil greases the measuring cup and makes the honey and the maple syrup a lot easier to get out. So I'm just going to get down low and pour this in, because again, I want to make sure that I'm getting exact measurements. And honestly, you're hanging out with me at home in my kitchen, and I would be down on the floor measuring like that regardless of whether or not you're here. So, welcome to my life. Alright, so 1/4 cup of honey, a 1/4 cup of maple syrup. So you can also see this recipe doesn't have a ton of sugar in it. The sweeteners that are included are natural sweeteners, and these are way better for you than refined sugar. They do still have an impact. See how easily that just kind of slides out? I am going to use the scraper a little bit, but you really don't need to. So if you don't want to get your scraper too messy, you can just set it aside and let the sweeteners pour right out. What I was going to say is, if you don't want to use honey or maple syrup, you can use all honey or all maple syrup. I have had some people write in and say they're allergic to one or the other, and if there's a substitute, what is it? You can just use all of one or all of the other. I like to combine the two because it gives a more neutral sweetness, and your cake won't taste like honey, it won't taste like maple syrup, it just tastes like delicious vanilla cake. But if you want a diabetic-friendly alternative, or if you're on a candida diet and you can't have sweeteners, use an equal amount of applesauce. So for this recipe, it would be 1/2 cup of applesauce minus 1 tablespoon, because applesauce has a bit more liquid than the honey or the maple syrup. And then you'll sweeten the applesauce with stevia or monk fruit and use that as your liquid sweetener. So again, a little trick if you guys want to make it really low sugar. We're already going to be using coconut flour, which is really high fiber and low glycemic with healthy fats. So that's just one way to make it even more customized for your diet, so that you can stay on track with health and wellness while you're still enjoying delicious treats. So I'm going to go ahead and take my whisk. I'm going to break the yolks just like that. And that makes it so much easier to whisk everything together. And so just to clarify, this, we're spinning around in a circle, is stirring. And this, side to side, is whisking. So I'll stir with the whisk. Bloop, bloop, bloop. And it's already smelling so good. Just the vanilla. So that's another trick if you want to make like a birthday cake type flavor, is you'll use vanilla with lemon. And we're going to add a little bit more lemon. I told you guys we're going to get back to this lemon, and now it's time. Bring in the lemon in. And this is what's called a microplane. It's like a zester or a small grater, and we're just going to zest a little bit of lemon in here. And that really rounds out the lemon flavor, and it's going to give it that really authentic birthday cake flavor. So that's another trick or tip. Vanilla plus lemon equals birthday cake flavor. And remember, I'm going to a birthday picnic, and I want it to be as authentic as possible. I mean, my friends love that I can make healthy treats that taste like they're, traditional treats. So I like to treat everyone to healthy treats as often as possible. So I'm just zesting about half the lemon in there. You can also use a regular, like a box grater that people normally grate carrots on. You can use the side of that to grate the zest off really small. But you want to make sure, I'll show you guys. So I'm zesting, and the zest is just the yellow part and not the white part. The white part is really bitter, and that won't make our cake taste amazing. So I'm just using the microplane. You can see it's awesome, has these little blades on it. It's great, it's fancy, I love it. I use it for lemon zest and for nutmeg sometimes. So again, if you want to get fancy, grab your microplane, but you can also just use a regular box grater if that's what you have on hand. And in the future, when you are making this cake, I recommend zesting the lemon first and then squeezing out the lemon juice. That's the best order to do it in. So again, I'm going to go ahead and give a little whisk. And we have all of our liquid ingredients mixed. So we'll set this aside. And, oh no, I think I forgot a thing. I'm going to grab a thing really quick. I try to be prepared. Don't we all? And sometimes it works. So, okay, so now I have my thing. I got a fork. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this 1/2 cup of coconut flour. And that's another thing I love about coconut flour. It's super economical. This whole recipe, we're going to make probably 2 dozen mini cupcakes, and we only need 1/2 cup of coconut flour because it's so highly absorbent that the eggs and the oil and the coconut milk are going to help create a nice cakey, springy texture. So I'm going to go ahead and add, I believe this is 1/4 cup of arrowroot starch. So arrowroot starch is great for baking, blah, blah, blah. Yes, okay. So again, this is page 37 of Paleo Sweets. You can grab your free copy, just pay shipping. I'll add the link below in the comments as soon as we whip these up. So it's a 1/4 cup of arrowroot starch or arrowroot flour. They're the same thing. So you might hear them referred to as different things in different recipes, but it's the same thing. And arrowroot starch is great for, I just like making treats that taste as close to the real thing as possible. So yes, arrowroot starch is a starch, but there's a lot less of it in here than there is coconut flour and healthy fats and protein from the eggs and from the coconut oil. So it all balances out. I think we have to have a little bit of balance when it comes to treating ourselves. We can stay on track and stay paleo, but still enjoy it and make it taste really good. So the starch helps lighten up and give a little bit better texture to the coconut flour and the egg. So it's not just like a total sponge, but it actually tastes like cake, right? Because that's the point. We should be able to enjoy eating healthy. So to that, I'm going to add 1 teaspoon baking powder and 1/2 teaspoon baking soda and 1/4 teaspoon. I use pink Himalayan salt. You can use sea salt if you prefer. Never use iodized salt. We don't need it, and it's especially bad if you have any thyroid conditions. We totally want to avoid that. So we have the salt, we have the baking powder, we have the baking soda. We're going to mix that all in. So I'm just using a fork. A fork is fine as a whisk. We just want to make sure, especially the baking powder and the baking soda, get incorporated so that they can create a nice, healthy, fluffy rise over the whole cake. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and add, I'm going to give a little stir. I'm going to add the dry ingredients into the wet ingredients like that. And it's going to look like you did it wrong. If you're doing this at home, it's going to start to get kind of chunky and funky. And if your batter looks like this, can you see that? It's like a little bloop. Then you did it right. That's how it's supposed to look. So again, I'm going to stir it a little bit, mix it in there. And then you're going to let it set. So because coconut flour has so much fiber and it's so absorbent, we like to give it a second to really start to soak up the liquid. And we're going to leave it, set it aside while we get our pan ready. And then we're going to come back and whisk it again, and it's going to be amazing, just like regular cake batter. So I want to show you guys, I'm really excited again. This is going to be like a birthday celebration. So I'm baking my mini cupcakes in these really adorable little heart-shaped mini cupcake molds. These are silicone molds, and I love baking with silicone because it really makes the cleanup a lot easier. But if you have traditional pans, like the ones I'll show you later, I baked a batch earlier so we can decorate them. If you use traditional cups, make sure you either oil them really, really well for mini cupcakes or use parchment paper liners. You can order parchment paper mini cupcake liners on Amazon.com. You can make your own parchment paper mini cupcake liners by cutting small squares and fitting them into the cups of the cupcake tin, or you can just buy awesome, adorable little heart-shaped muffin or whatever you want to make in them. I don't even know, this might be an ice cube tray, but I love it. I'm making mini cupcakes in it today. And you'll see it's a little bit flexible, so if you are using silicone, I'm going to put it on a baking sheet, and that way it'll just stay flat, makes it easier to get in and out of the oven, and it sits there properly. So, blah, 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 this whole time I've been talking to you, our coconut flour has been absorbing all the liquid. So you'll see it still looks a little chunky and funky, but let's try it again and give it another stir. There you go. And so you'll start to see it's all coming together. So I'll get up close and personal again and just show you guys, look, oh my gosh, it looks like real batter. It's gonna be a real cake. You did it right. So again, you'll just need to leave it to set for a second. Get your tins ready while the coconut flour is absorbing. And by the way, you're following along in real time how I bake in my kitchen. I like to make it as time efficient as possible. And yeah, so these are all the tips and tricks that I use. And I just want to share them with you. So we're mixing that up, and again, whisking can go side to side like that, or we can go around in a circle. As long as you get it all out there and make it nice and smooth. And then we set this aside, right there, as long as it stays. So I want to show you guys another awesome trick that I like to use. I have a large liquid measuring cup. I'm going to be sending out an email soon, so I'm going to add it in when you order Paleo Sweets. You'll get an email with all the resources and the tools and where to find them. I'm going to be sending that out soon if you've already purchased the cookbook and haven't gotten the email yet, it'll be coming out next week. but the cup set that I got for liquid measuring cups includes a large, a medium, and a small. So I'm going to take the large liquid measuring cup, and again, this is not necessary, it just makes it a little bit easier in my mind to distribute the cupcake batter. I'm going to go ahead and pour the batter into this measuring cup, and because it has a spout, it's going to make it a lot easier to pour the batter into the cupcake tins. So we're going to do that. It smells so good. Just the lemon zest. You know, lemon zest smells so nice and fresh, and it's awesome and amazing and delicious. So I'm going to use this. I'm going to start in the center of the tin, and I'm going to set this bowl over here. Juggling in a full kitchen. Thanks for joining me. Glad everyone fits in here. I know it's a little crowded. All right, so if you're measuring this out and you're not using the pour cup, then you just need like 2 to 3 tablespoons per tin. And you know, you can always stretch the batter and just use 1 to 2 tablespoons of batter per little mini cupcake, and then you can get more cupcakes out of it. I'm totally fine with that. As long as everybody gets cupcakes and we're all happy, then we don't need to measure exactly. And yeah, so like how many cupcakes you get out of the recipe, I'm going to spread that over there. You want to try not to overfill the cups because then it just looks weird and they won't rise right. But you know, paleo baking, like I like to think it's a little bit forgiving as long as you get the ratios of the ingredients correct. If you have the right recipes like the ones I've created for you in Paleo Sweets, then you can kind of cut yourself some slack. You don't have to get a food scale and measure out the exact amount into each cupcake tin, you know? You can I don't know if anybody else would do that. You probably wouldn't do that. So I'm going to go ahead and we'll pretend like I finished filling up this whole tin. The oven is preheated, which it's not right now because it would be too hot in here for me to hang out with you guys. But the oven is preheated to 350 degrees. So what I'm going to do is we filled all these cupcake tins up. We're going to pop the tray in the oven and we're going to bake for about 20 minutes. I would say set your timer for 15 minutes. Take a peek in there. If the cupcakes still look really moist on top, and if you use a toothpick, to poke one of the mini cupcakes in the center and it comes out with some crumbs on it, pop them back in the oven again for about 5 minutes and they should be delicious and done by the end of that. Alright, so we're pretending, and while the cupcakes are baking, we are going to go ahead and move on to our matcha green tea frosting. So one thing that I have to do is I'm going to get up close and personal with you guys and rinse off my utensils. So we'll just have a little conversation about the reality of doing dishes, and not everyone has a dishwasher in their house, you know, be it a person or a machine. I have to wash all my dishes by hand. But it's okay because I get a lot more economical with the numbers of dishes I use. So we have our whisk and our scraper again. We're going to grab the large glass bowl, and the frosting is going to be kind of a two-parter. So I will mix the liquid and the powder first, and then we'll add the shortening. So we're using palm shortening in this, and I'll talk to you guys in a second about palm shortening and alternatives and sustainability, but we'll get into this. We're going to be using matcha. Matcha is a ground up green tea powder, and not only does it make a really nice pretty green color, which is going to be awesome for the picnic theme, but it has a really nice flavor, and it's like slightly bitter like green tea, but in a good way that balances out the sweet from the cupcakes. So it's going to be delicious, but we're going to start with, again, about a half a cup of sweetener. I'm combining honey and maple syrup. You can use all of one or all of the other. This is one instance where you wouldn't want to substitute applesauce, and instead you would want to use a couple of tablespoons of coconut milk plus stevia if you wanted to avoid using honey or maple syrup. But right now I have about 5 tablespoons of honey and 3 tablespoons of maple syrup, so I'm going to pour those on into the bowl. Honestly, the frosting is one of my favorite parts of this recipe. I just love matcha. It's so delicious. If you haven't had an opportunity to try it, I recommend grabbing it. I love, like this bag, I think was about 16 bucks, but this can last you years. I mean, if you don't, because you're only, like you'll see in this recipe, we're only using 1 tablespoon of matcha to color the entire batch of frosting. So again, economical, you use like a teaspoon. It's a great alternative to coffee if you want to start weaning yourself off coffee and get some of the good beneficial antioxidants from green tea. Coffee also has antioxidants, but that's another conversation for another time. So, as I said, we're going to go ahead and add the sweetener, and then I'm using about, let's see, I think I have half a cup of arrowroot starch. And this frosting is going to be a really great alternative to a traditional buttercream. Again, it's made from healthier ingredients, but it tastes like a delicious version of what you would get on traditional bakery cakes. So it's going to get a little bit sludgy, but that's exactly what we want. If we were to add the arrowroot starch to the shortening, it would get really clumpy. I learned this by trial and error, so just let me make the mistakes for you. Woo! And we'll get the arrowroot starch everywhere also. All right, so you'll see it's getting really nice and thick, just like that, and that's what you want. It'll be nice and smooth, so I keep kind of scraping down the edges, bringing the arrowroot starch into the honey and maple syrup mixture, whisking it in, and we're also going to add the matcha. So I'm going to add 1 tablespoon plus 1 teaspoon, and it's going to look a little funky at first, but just trust me on this one. So again, we're going to do 1 tablespoon, like that, and then 1 teaspoon. And I just found that this is my preferred ratio for getting the amount of matcha flavor. I wish you guys could smell this. It smells like a tea house. It's really awesome. Like a tea house that's kind of grassy and fresh. I'm going to zip this up because I definitely have a tendency to knock things over and spill them everywhere, and that would be a very sad thing to have happen. So same thing with the arrowroot starch, and you can add this in at the beginning. I just forgot, so you know, do as I say, not as I do. Read the instructions in the follow the cookbook. Get your copy of Paleo Sweets. Everything is in proper order there. But again, I'm kind of working the powder into the honey and the maple syrup. And it's going to look a little bit weird and funky. It's like an army green kind of color. But as soon as we add the palm shortening, it's going to brighten right up. So you can see this is like a really yummy honey matcha paste. Hey! Hi, is that Sharada? Hi, and Elizabeth. So good to see you guys. Welcome to my kitchen. Yeah, so you can see it's kind of an army green color. It doesn't look too impressive. But just wait. I will show you. And this will be delicious, picnic appropriate, adorable, delicious treats like that. So I'm tapping off my whisk to try to get as much of the delicious matcha honey goodness as possible. And I'm going to set that aside. And so, palm shortening. This is a topic of controversy because conventionally harvested palm products are really bad for the rainforest, and a lot of that has been brought to my attention because I do use palm shortening in several recipes in Paleo Sweets, and it's something that I just started using in the last couple of years because it really does give a different special texture to the baked good, to the frosting. It's really unique and I love it, and again, I try to make authentic tasting sweets with healthier ingredients, so that's all you'll find in Paleo Sweets. I'll include a link at the bottom underneath this video at the top of the comments so you can grab your free copy, just pay shipping. But for now, we'll talk a second about palm shortening. There are sustainable sources. So there's a brand called Tropical Traditions, tropicaltraditions.com, that uses only sustainably harvested palm shortening. It doesn't destroy the Amazon, it doesn't minimize the environment or kill off any species of orangutans or chimpanzees. So I definitely recommend that you use sustainably sourced palm shortening. Or if you don't have palm shortening on hand and it's not available to you, you can use ghee. Now ghee is a variation of clarified butter. It is free of lactose and casein, so it can be acceptable and tolerable for some people who have a lactose sensitivity, and that will make this frosting more like a traditional buttercream. But I'm going to go ahead and use some sustainably sourced palm shortening, and I'm throwing 1 cup in there. And again, this is what you're going to use, the palm shortening or the ghee, to make a really awesome, delicious, authentic, super yummy cupcake frosting. That's what we want, right? Like, eating healthy can be fun. There is variety as long as we can get creative. All these recipes in Paleo Sweets are measured out for you, so they will turn out well. Order your copy today. Now we're going to bust this out. Boop. So I'm taking an electric mixer. You can always whisk it by hand. This is a little bit faster, so I'm going to go ahead and do this for you guys. Put on your earmuffs. They don't want to, like, deafen you. Getting in there. Just like that. Yeah. So pretty. It's so pretty. All right. Let's see. Just like that. It's really good. There's always quality control. This is all for my friends. I want to make sure they're getting the best quality frosting possible. You should always have to taste it, right? Yeah. So that's awesome. It's so, like, the palm shortening helps it stay nice and fluffy. The arrowroot powder gives it some body, so you'll see we're going to decorate the cupcakes in just a second. And you really want to make sure the frosting has some body so it holds and stays adorable for your big presentation when you show up at your own birthday picnic where you have been the one tasked with making delicious treats and it looks professional. So again, I'll show you guys. It lightened up a lot. This is going to be so perfect for our picnic theme. We're also going to be making flower crowns and drinking wine and just being fabulous. So it's awesome. Hi, Chanel. Thanks for getting in touch. It's so great to see you guys. I love when you join me in my kitchen and we get to cook stuff and bake stuff. And I always joke, I'm like, I love when you guys come because then I get to eat it all at the end. But also I like sharing with you, but also I get to eat it. So, all right, so like I said, through the magic of TV and also some proper prior planning, I happen to have some cupcakes right here that are baked and ready to be decorated. So again, this is only half the recipe. You can find the full recipe in Paleo Sweets, but what we're making today is just half the recipe. I got 23 mini cupcakes out of this, so you're fine. So I'm going to set those there. Oh, oops. I'm going to get this out of the way. I'm trying to keep it as tidy as possible, but it's kind of challenging sometimes. I think it's one thing I like about cooking at home is you can make a mess. So I have a frosting bag like this with like a little tip on it to decorate. I ordered this online. It was like a relatively cheap kit, but I want to show you guys too a trick you can use if you don't have a frosting bag is you can use, or it's also called a piping bag sometimes. Use a gallon-sized bag and you're just going to clip the corner off. You'll clip like maybe ½ an inch right there. Let's see if you can see it. Just right there. Clip that little bit off. And then you're going to go ahead and follow the rest of these instructions, but with your gallon-sized bag. You can either have a frosting tip shoved in the end of the bag or not. It doesn't matter. If you just snip the very tip off the end of the gallon-sized bag, then it's just going to give you more of like a rounded swirl of frosting. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm placing my piping bag in a glass so it stands upright, and I can also fold it out and open it up. And this creates a little cup, and I'm just going to scoop the frosting in here. It just makes it easier to like load the frosting into the bag. So we'll go ahead and, you know, we try to be neat, but I'm the one cleaning up my own mess at the end of the day, I guess. So I'm the only one who has to deal with this. Just like that. I feel so professional. So professional. All right, and again, I'm like trying to get all the stuff off to the side. We'll get this out of the way. Hopefully I don't knock them over. Again, we'll see what happens. But all right, so I'm going to peel up the sides of the bag very carefully. And you can see the frosting is in here. I'm just going to twist it at the top and kind of squeeze it down into the bottom so you can see it's like filling up the whole bag now. And then I'm just going to squirt some out into the edge of the cup so we can make sure, oh my gosh, this is going to be so cute. So it's working well. I honestly don't have a ton of experience with piping and with decorating cupcakes. I just love playing around and experimenting. I am going to pull the cupcakes out of the tin before I decorate them just so they're easier to lift out. So we'll get a few going here. And I've seen awesome, I love Instagram videos and YouTube videos on how to decorate cakes. So we'll see. I'm going to try to pull some off just like that. But also at the end of the day, you can just scoop some on, give it a smear, make a little, like a a tip on top, and it's going to be beautiful. It tastes really good, and that's all that matters. So I'm going to go ahead and try to do a little decorative swirl like that. You guys are experimenting with me today. I think it looks really pretty. I'm going to show you guys. See, it's so cute, just like that. So again, this is like a star piping tip that I just ordered off of Amazon. I got the whole kit, and you can order a variety, or you can just use your gallon-sized bag. So I'm going to go ahead and do 1 or 2 more, and then I'll come hang out with you guys, and you can eat these cupcakes with me. Just like that. So these are adorable vanilla mini cupcakes with matcha green tea frosting. And again, quality control. I just want to make sure my friends are getting the best. So I'll show you too. These are the parchment paper mini muffin liners, and they peel off so easily. One thing you might find about baking with coconut flour is that it does tend to stick to pans, so it's a great idea to invest in parchment paper. In all of my recipes, I recommend lining the bottom of the cake tin with parchment paper because it just makes it so much easier to clean up. You don't have to worry about chunks of the cake falling off, and it'll be beautiful and delicious just like that. See, it's so adorable. All right, you guys ready? Thank you for being with me. This is one of my favorite recipes from Paleo Sweets. So you can see, I'm gonna get up close with too much shadow. You can see it's like a nice fluffy cupcake. I would just say, like, I love like the kind of bitter green tea flavor with the honey paired with the vanilla cupcake. It just all balances out. It has a really nice, light, fresh flavor, and it's delicious. So I love sharing these treats with you guys. I love sharing them with my friends. I think everyone at the birthday party tomorrow is going to be super excited. And I love sharing that and seeing how excited everybody gets. So, hi Geraldine, South Africa, thank you. Yeah, so again, I know I went through this, video today a little bit quickly, so you can always rewatch the video and try this batch on your own. You can always grab your copy of Paleo Sweets, free, just pay shipping. We do ship internationally. It takes about 7 to 10 business days within the continental United States. Sometimes it takes a little bit longer, but we do our best to get the book to you as quickly as possible. And you can always get in touch with us at support@paleohacks.com if you have any questions about your order. But I'm going to add the link so you can grab your copy of the cookbook. It'll be at the top of the comments underneath the video. Hey, Crystal. So yeah, so go ahead and rewatch the video. Crystal was wondering where to get the recipe. So again, this is an adapted recipe just for these mini cupcakes. You can just, after I'm done talking and eating cupcakes, you can rewatch the video and I'll talk you through the whole process. I'll give you tips on how to frost, what the frosting recipe is. You can make these for yourself, for your loved ones. Again, when I was writing Paleo Sweets, I would share pretty much everything that I made because there's so many recipes in here. There are cakes, cookies, brownies, pies. I mean, as much as I love dessert, I could never and would never probably even want to eat everything, but this recipe, the vanilla cake with matcha green tea frosting, is one that I would usually keep a lot for myself because I loved it. Yeah, and Wendelin, hi Wendelin, thank you. Wendelin says they look amazing and they taste amazing too. So again, I'm really happy you guys joined me. Grab your copy of Paleo Sweets. It's a free cookbook, just pay shipping. And we'll get it to you as quickly as possible, usually 7 to 10 business days within the continental US, a little bit longer depending on where you are, but we'll make sure we get the book to you as quickly as possible. Please say hi, please let me know where you're tuning in from, and add any comments or questions you have below. I'll do my best to answer them, and I'm going to go eat some cupcakes and finish decorating and quality control testing, and I hope you guys have an amazing day. I will see you soon. All right, bye.